Evening, Music Multiverse listeners. Welcome to Beyond Your Radio and this show, That's Your Band Name. And tonight it's episode 5. That's right, we've done this 5 times already. Crazy. Next thing you know, we'll be doing our 100th episode. This show allows any and all panelists and contributors to join us and talk about band names that just might have been a little bit out there. Too simple, not right. Hell, today mine aren't spelled right. Did the name match what we were thinking the band was going to be like? Did it suck? Was it freaking awesome? Or did it just not get the recognition the band should have had, maybe because of the name itself? So tonight, based on the panel, the three amigos, as we were discussing earlier, we'll do 3 apiece. So we should be out of here relatively quickly, unless the discussion gets out of hand like it normally does. So we'll go with Jeff Johnson, Chef Jeff. We'll go to Jeff Young and then myself, 3 apiece, one at a time. And I will let Mr. Chef Jeff kick us off.
Howdy, howdy, howdy. Aloha from Hawaii. So my first band tonight has a very, very famous frontman. The band is 30 odd foot of grunts, and the frontman is none other than Russell Crowe. The band was started about 12 years ago or so, when he started he's always been a musician, and he just wanted to, like a lot of other people, just put something out. So I think they've done 9 albums. I believe that's what I counted. I listened to a couple albums today just so I would have a understanding. I've never heard of them before. I just was enamored with their name. The funny thing is, I was telling Mark earlier, the Russell Crowe's his singing voice sounds exactly like his speaking voice. So it's like listening to Gladiator sing a song. It's kind of bizarre, to say the least. They're not bad. They're not bad. I wouldn't give them a 5-star, about maybe 3. I listened to maybe a half dozen records, or half dozen songs off of 2 different records. It's hard to pin down their style because from song to song,
it's all over the place.
It's all over the place. It's one is very bluesy, one is like punk, and then a lot of it is like I'm going to say English traditional. So it's interesting. But you guys have a listen. Tell me what you guys think. But
yeah, I have it, obviously, as I showed when it first came out. Russell Crowe, definitely sounds like he acts. The band's not bad. The styles tend to go from rock country to, I don't know, I guess you could, he being Australian, I think Australia is never a sound defining country. They don't genreize their music generally. I think that's why Jeff Martin of the Tea Party lives there, and this music scene, anybody combines with anybody. And there is, I believe, a cover of Folsom Prison Blues at the end from Johnny Cash. He does sing with Chrissie Hynde of the Pretenders on this record. So I don't know, it's pretty good. I was expecting, but I thought it was decent back in the day. Good first pick. I don't know about the 30 odd foot of grunts, but hey, that's got to be an Australian thing. That's my guess.
I tried to find a meaning of it, and I couldn't. Really, there's nothing on the internet that I could find that explained how they got it. But obviously, they're the backup band for Russell Crowe, and that's what probably sells this album.
Well, the name AC/DC was already taken, so.
Yeah. Yeah, well.
Jeff, how does Jeff's volume sound to you, voice-wise? Is it okay for you?
I think Jeff's volume is better when he's closer to the microphone.
Okay.
Okay, that means I need to get closer to them.
Yeah, it's just usually you're right on. This time you seem a little.
Oh, you know why? Hang on. I will take care of
It's
the
Zoom.
problem.
Yeah, definitely.
No,
Yeah.
the problem is I'm sitting next to the air conditioner.
Okay. All right.
White noise kills you. I'll be
Yeah,
right
it
back.
does. It can. All right. Jeff, what you got for us?
Dingoes ate my baby. So name's a reference to the disappearance of an infant in Central Australia in 1980, where the child's parents claimed she was taken by a dingo. 4 years after the mother was convicted and imprisoned for life for murder, just by chance, someone found the baby's clothes near a lair of dingoes and she was exonerated. But this is a fictional alternative rock band featured in the popular TV series Buffy the Vampire Slayer, which was from 1997. Well, it went for 7 seasons. The actual band name is Four Star Mary, who actually the band appeared in one episode. They actually formed in California the same year, 1997. They lasted till 2016. Four Star Mary actually named themselves after a legal case where somebody was attempting to sue ExxonMobil. But most music in the TV show came off their album, Thrown to the Wolves, which is interesting because the lead singer in the TV show was actually a werewolf in the TV show. 7 songs were performed as the band in an episode, and others were used as background music. They've also had tracks featured in shows like Party of Five, Road Rules, Real World, and Charmed. But just kind of going with the whole fake but not so fake bands.
And who was that werewolf?
I can't remember.
Seth
It's a
Green.
famous kid. Yes, Seth Green. Yep.
Seth Green. Yeah. I don't know if he can actually sing or not, but he was the.
Yeah, he wasn't singing.
Somebody else was doing the vote, right?
Acting.
All right. So mine today fall along the lines of spelling for sound might be a good idea, So I'll start with Edna Swap. Does anybody remember this band? Jeff?
What was the band?
Edna Swap.
Never heard of it.
You have. Ever heard the song Torn by Natalie Imbruglia?
No.
Okay, well, Edna Swap wrote that song originally. And it has been covered by Natalie Imbruglia, Tori Amos, and recently as One Direction, and recently the famous Phoebe Bridgers. So frontwoman Anna Previn came up with the band's name after she dreamed she was in a band of this name and they got booed off the stage. So there's a weird one, right? So what started out as like a pop rock with that Torn, I'd sing the lyrics, but you'd all be scared because it's, I can't even remember the lyrics. And the album became, they sort of moved to like a post grunge, and then sort of like Veruca Salt or Courtney Love's band, Hole. So they had 3 albums. I don't know what any of them are doing right now, but my first one with the spelling challenge of Edna Swap, if that's even how it's pronounced. My next 2, I do know the pronunciations of. So that's my first one. I had many other choices, but I went that way because of Torn. And Chef Jeff, you're next.
Okay, the next one, as I said, when I started doing these, this is the 5th time, I tried to do as many as I could that I've actually seen in concert. And this one, I remember I've seen him 3 times, in 72, 74, 76, I believe. So this is one of your old ones, and it is they're classified as what they call, and I remember the term, sunshine pop, and which is psychedelica, acid rock, those kind of things. The name of the band is Strawberry Alarm Clock. They've had two number one hits. They had Incense and Peppermints, and another one which I cannot right now remember. They started out in Glendale, California. That's why I was able to see them. They played the Whiskey, and they played a lot of the older places and stuff. And very interesting band. If you listen to the words, you got to be on an acid trip sometime. Because definitely the lyrics and the songs are all promoting psychedelic experiences. So do I like them? I think they're great. Incense and Peppermint was a huge number one hit in the early 70s, and it was just his song refers to an LSD that was going around for a long time in the early 70s called Peppermint.
Okay.
So that was where the reference of the song is.
I don't know, when you sent the band, I kind of had this Brady Bunch kind of thing. I think I'll go for a walk outside.
No.
No.
What was I was gonna?
What was the band? How did they come about the name?
Strawberry Alarm Clock basically is just a psychedelic reference.
Okay.
Basically, there's it. Lucy in the Sky with Diamonds.
Okay.
Very much the same type of song and genre, and I was trying to get to a reference right here, and if I can find it really quick.
Google Gajoob. Dad joke.
Yeah, really bad, but it's okay. I like it. Yeah, sometimes you can find the information when you run, and sometimes you can't. And but I was going to read some lyrics that they had wrote, and it's pretty funny to say the least. But
yeah, I think there were notes from the producer that said they loved the lyrical songwriting, but they couldn't stand the singer when they were trying to sign the band.
Yeah. Well, the singing leaves a little bit to be desired, to say the least. So, but
cool.
Still trying to find this thing here.
Yeah, when you mentioned this one, I was said, "Geez, I got to go down a rabbit hole. I don't have this in my my repertoire from the '60s, so I'm gonna take a."
Yeah, it's definitely one you should have. It is very much let me see if I can get this on camera. My phone doesn't like me today at all. It's just playing all kinds of tricks with me. So I keep trying to show things and it likes to show other things. But anyway, so we'll just leave this at that this is a review that I cannot finish because I just can't get the information I need. The internet sucks sometimes.
Well, the lead guitarist King, back in like the 70s and 80s, he got disgruntled or something with the whole thing, and he wound up being the backup for bands like the Everly Brothers, Warren Zevon, and I believe he composed the classic opening riff for Sweet Home Alabama.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Just a quick, quick cool note on that. But there's quite the bio on such a band that didn't really last that long. It's kind of interesting.
Yeah, they were only around for I think 5 years or 6 years.
Yeah, it sounds about right. Sounds about right.
But then I was trying to see how many they did. 6 albums and a couple EPs. But well, that's basically that. Let's go back to let's go to the other Jeff.
Jeff, why don't you keep us in the 60s while we're there?
So I'm doing a band, the Monkees, spelled Monkees. First band created for a TV show, 1965. Series only ran to 68. But the music production generated tension immediately and controversy from the beginning because the music supervisor on the show was dissatisfied with their abilities. And so he limited their involvement during any recording process. Instead, he relied on actual professional songwriters and studio musicians. And, you know, it led to multiple hit albums and singles, but the people actually in the band, it didn't sit well with them. So, and they were facing some public backlash for not playing on the recordings. So when they went on tour, they actually were so popular, they received, you know, a lot of adulation, similar to Beatlemania, giving them a lot of confidence. And then after a brief power struggle, the band members wound up gaining full control over the recording process. So for 2 albums, the Monkees mostly performed as a group, but within a year after that, each member started pursuing their own interests under the same, you know, Monkees name. But by the end of 1968, you know, they really, the show had been canceled and they had a motion picture called Head, H-E-A-D, but that had flopped. So they officially broke up by 1970. But they really are one of the most successful bands of the 60s, selling 75 million records worldwide. And they had 4 chart-topping albums. You know, some of the songs, like most people recognize even today, like Last Train to Clarksville, I'm a Believer, Pleasant Valley Sunday, Daydream Believer. But I remember even just like as a kid watching them on TV as like reruns. Like I was born in 71, they ended in 68. And I remember, I would think we had like a vinyl album of like, it was either one of their first albums or best of. And I thought they were good. They had good music.
I saw them in 74 when they did a reunion tour.
Nice.
All of them in Los Angeles. I've been to a couple Mickey Rourke concerts. So I'm quite familiar with them because I basically was, that's 65 to 68. I was a young teenager, and that was, my sister had to watch it. I had to watch it. So, yeah. But I've read lots and lots of articles and even an autobiography on them, and they literally taught themselves all the instruments they were supposed to be playing. Within a 1-year period.
I'm kind of surprised they never actually made a feature film about the band.
Yeah,
like a documentary.
It could be coming.
Maybe.
All right, I will pull us way out of the 60s.
We're going forward or backwards?
Forwards, way forward to right about now. All right. So the band behind me looks like Privis, but it is pronounced Paris. Whatever, you know.
It's an upside down A.
Yes, there you go. So they started in 2014. The band itself, there has been a lot of controversy over what their sound actually is, and I can understand why, because they do cross some genres in retrospect after listening to them for multiple years now. I would go with the dark electro pop, but they add this post-hardcore that goes in. When I talk about post-hardcore, that's that clean singing and then that unclean crap that goes on, right? So I dig the band. The last record, I don't remember the name of it. Maybe it was Used. No. Yeah, Use Me, right? So they've opened for Halsey, who was extremely popular at this time. They have a new album coming out, Evergreen, in 2023 this year. I'm kind of interested in what it'll be like. When the growling isn't going on, I'm ultra interested. They got a good sound. The lyrics are good, and that electronic, dreamy background kind of thing works really well with the female singer's voice. I think that's everything I got on them. So I'll move on to Chef Jeff again.
You. So, Mott the Hoople. This is one of these tragic stories with a happy ending. There was a song that some of you remember, All the Young Dudes, written by David Bowie.
David Bowie.
Well, the original that was out was not sung by David Bowie, but was sung by Mott the Hoople. Mott the Hoople was a band that started in '69. Their original name was Doc Thomas Group. And then they changed their name in the early '70s to Mott the Hoople, which is basically a part of a novel. That's how the name came.
Okay.
But they were failing. They were on their way. They were ready to break up. They've had no commercial success at all. They weren't even in the top 500 in England. They were just so. But they were discovered in late '71, by David Bowie, who loved them, and he had just wrote this song, All the Young Dudes, and was going to put it on a Ziggy Stardust album, but instead gave it to them. And it became a huge #1 success, both in England and in the Americas. And they just went, boom. So they were able to last to about probably '79 or so, when they just started Ian Hunter is a very famous writer and singer, and he was the lead for them. He still is in the industry now. They've had, Mott the Hoople's had, I believe, 3 resurgence, with the last one in 2012, and there's now rumors of they're going to go on tour again. So on, I think, the Old Man's tour. So, but I listened to 2 of their albums today when I was doing things, and they're a tight band. I have nothing, but I understand that if you listen to their albums before Bowie got involved, that they were not done very well. The quality of the recordings was pretty awful. Their first album, Mott the Hoople, and 2 others were both produced and directed by David Bowie. So it helps when you have a superstar behind you. So
yeah, they're definitely that helped them immensely.
Oh,
The minute I heard that song, I said, "Wait a minute, this is Bowie." Then I read back and I'm like, "Okay, now I remember the story."
It's Ian Hunter. So, but now Bowie did go to record it later, about 5-6 years later, on one of his other albums. But the original one, when people swear up and down, "Oh, that's Bowie," no, it's not. It's
Right.
Mott the Hoople.
Yeah, that's sort of like with people with every time I look at you, the song is "I Go Blind." That's not a what's the name of the band? Hootie and the Blowfish. It's not their song. It's 5440 wrote that, from Canada.
Right.
And it's funny because even when and artists love that kind of stuff, when something happens like that, and they didn't. Now 5440 did not give that to them, Hootie and the Blowfish, but Bowie actually did. And this happens a lot like songwriters, because Bowie's a songwriter, right? And if he doesn't feel like it's in his wheelhouse for right now, he sells it to somebody, lets them use it. Same thing with Chantal Cravazouk, Rain Mattier of Our Lady Peace. Elton John wrote, and Bernie Taupin wrote songs that they didn't even do themselves. They gave it to somebody else. So, but I'm going to give them more of a listen. I did listen to the first record. I enjoyed that. I thought that was well produced, but there was a note that said, anything earlier, the band did not have any business being in a recording studio.
Right, exactly.
Somebody said they sounded great live, but then again, live is different than a production in the studio.
Yeah, I saw them. I'm trying to think of the year I saw them. And this is nothing to do with the band, but I went and saw them. They were playing with somebody else at the Forum, and I had listened to half of them, and we decided we didn't want to stay, and we left. So
I haven't done that too often. Haven't done that too often. Always stay. Jeff, your next one.
Spinal Tap.
Love them.
So, a fictional English heavy metal band created for a 1979 sketch comedy pilot. The name of the TV show was The TV Show, by Rob Reiner and Michael McKean. Michael McKean was also the lead singer, named David St. Hubbins, originally in the sketch. Also included Christopher Guest as the lead guitarist, Nigel Tufnell. So also in 1979, McKean and Guest were in a fictional band called Lenny and the Squigtones, which was on the Laverne and Shirley Show, a parallel TV show to Happy Days featuring Penny Marshall. Now, Guest wasn't on the show, but he was part of the band in the show. But Lenny was actually part of the show. So, McKean played Lenny. In 1984 mockumentary film by Rob Reiner, This Is Spinal Tap. That's where it got much bigger. It again included Christopher Guest, who later was the Six-Fingered Man, and Rob Reiner's The Princess Bride. I mean, if that's the only two movies you do in your career, that's pretty good.
Yeah.
Spinal Tap played in a 1984 episode of Saturday Night Live to promote the movie. And the cold opening actually featured a young actress, Julia Louis-Dreyfus. They had a tour. It was called the One Night Only Tour. And it had 2 dates at Glastonbury Festival and Wembley Stadium. That was their first tour. They toured a couple times since. They did a 3-city tour in Canada in 92 in a 24-hour period, I think it was. But it was Mark and I saw them at the Molson's Great Canadian Party at the Markham Fairgrounds in Barrie, Ontario. What's funny is so they had a lot of session members who helped create the music. Here's some of the session member names: Dweezil Zappa, Cher, Slash, Joe Satriani, Jeff Beck, Steve Vai, John Mayer, and Phil Collin of Def Leppard. They had 3 real albums and 16 fictional albums, but the 3 albums were This Is Spinal Tap in 84, Break Like the Wind in 92, and Back from the Dead in 2009. And just classic. Very total mockumentary, typical 80s aging heavy metal band. Everything is stereotypical, but done well, very well.
I thought they were good. I wasn't expecting. I mean, first of all, let's set the scene. It's 1992.
Yeah.
It's hotter than a snake's ass in a wagon rut. We're in the middle of a field burning to death, and we've got to sit through all these bands. Now, this is the Canadian party. I think McKean, right? Canadian?
Yeah.
Okay. He's an excellent actor. He's been in all kinds of things, from the X-Files to Laverne and Shirley. So it's Amanda Marshall, Sash Jordan,
Slick Toxic,
Tragically Hip, Boot Sauce, Marshall Tucker Band, 5440. I missed a couple in there too. But yeah, and when Spinal Tap came out, it was like, I didn't know what to expect. I really didn't. But it was a great night. It was a great day. It really was. One of the best.
What's funny about that movie is there's so many actors that you recognize in the actual movie. Everyone, like Dana Carvey has a small part in it, and I'm trying to think who else, like Fran Drescher and
Fran Drescher.
just a bunch of people.
Yeah.
Well, I will add something to this. I saw them June 1st, 2001. The Back to the Dead tour at the Greek.
Ooh.
They played the Greek Theater June 1st, 2001. Amazing concert. Amazing.
Smell the glove.
Yeah.
Smell the glove.
Yep.
I love it.
Yeah, great concert.
Nice one, Jeff. That's a good one.
Yep, very good. So.
All right. So for my final one.
Obviously, I picked a theme of fictional bands, but
yes, you did.
But they were real. They actually had real music.
So I'm going, since I had a band Paris, I'm going to go to Paris and I'm going to learn you some Morgulble. That's right. Morglbl. Morgulble. So what is Morgulble? Morgulble is a progressive jazz rock on French. Oh, no, I'm going to give it on Peruvian acid. Be prepared. They can make you think they're going to go all Metallica and then pull right back. They are an amazing, very little known band. They've been around since 1998. Their first album was basically, they were going to be called the Morgulble Trio. Now, just so you know, there's the two dots over the O that I didn't pronounce. They followed that one up with Bienvenue à Morgulble Land in 1999, an album called Grotesque, then followed by the 2009 favorite of mine called Jazz for the Deaf, Brutal Romance, Tea Time for Punks, and then just recently, this new one, back in, I think they're 4 years short now, 2019, The Story of Scott Rohde, who is a band member in Morgulble. I'm telling you, if you love jazz and you love it with a rock fusion feel, they bring it. And I would love to see them live, because I guarantee anyone that would be a show. They're not going to fill a stadium or anything like that, so you're going to see them in a club, which is going to be outstanding. I wish I could play some of the music. It's a high recommendation for me.
Their name looks like one of the countries on the game Risk. Pushing all my armies into Morgulble. Try to take it.
I mean, if you get it, the M looks like Metallica. You've got other, they're a very unique band, and you'll see all kind of YouTube they've done videos. I was turned on to them by another YouTube channel, and I was blown away. So I will thank our panelists today for doing this. Hopefully it has exposed some new music, some oddities, discussions. We'll do this again in 2 weeks with our panelists with more selections. We're on the web at www.beyondyourradio.com, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and now even LinkedIn. And of course, like, comment, subscribe. Just so everybody knows, our first comment came the other day. We're pleased to have our first comment. I was kind of shocked that it had to come on the Jethro Tull piece, which is not in my wheelhouse or my love, but the person's comments were very nice, and we had a very good conversation. He may actually join the panel, because he might be able to learn me how to get me into some Jethro Tull. And I thought, Jeff, you might want to join that. We can call it Getting Into Tull.
I'm already into Tull, so hey.
Yeah, well, help me, because I should be, and I, for some reason, right? So, we're going to have Patreon coming soon. Album reviews Saturdays are being recorded. We're looking forward to everybody. And that's obviously where this guy found us. Happy listening, everyone.
Aloha.